Hey everybody, welcome back. I am Ted from Ted's Basement. Today's episode, we will be reflecting on the Collecticon experience, most recently the Orlando Collecticon. I have here with me Corey, also known as Big Apple Cards on Instagram. Corey is one of my earlier patrons. He joined like late in October. We got a chance to meet up at the conference, so I thought it would be a cool idea to have somebody else's perspective. Thank you, Corey, for taking the time, man, and welcome to the show.
Of course. Thank you, Ted. I really appreciate, you having me on the podcast. I've been a big fan, since day one. And it's really great to be here.
This whole experience has me really thinking I want to have more community members on the show, like anybody who's willing. I know not everybody wants to be on camera and everything. That's totally cool.
Sure.
So I'm thinking about that. As far as the conference, dude, first thing that came to my mind, dude, the thing was lit. The energy was out of control. I mean, is that your perspective?
Yeah, I couldn't believe the difference. So this was my first Collecticon. I went to Collectors Con in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
That was in, I think, October. And that was much smaller scale. Like Whatnot was there. MetaZoo wasn't there. Only Nostalgics, I think, had a booth. And it was very, mild. I think I was the only one that ever heard of like Dream Book or any of these more TCGs there. So then coming to this at Collecticon, it was crazy. Just, seeing actually meeting a lot of these people that I've, seen on Discord and IG. It was kind of like everything was coming to life for the first time.
I had the same kind of experience. So just meeting you, for example, and probably, I don't know, I'd say at least a dozen other patrons, and then probably, I'm going to say like 40 or 50 other subscribers of the channel, getting to put a face to the names. And then what I really enjoyed when I'm back at the hotel, when I'm back at my house, even now this week, and people are commenting, some of them are including like, they'll make the comment on the video and then they'll say, so-and-so at the con. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
Oh, okay. Now I get, because we don't always use our real names on our Discords and our YouTube accounts. And when they do that, first of all, it really helps me. So I appreciate when you guys do that because I'm learning a lot of faces and a lot of names. But then when that connection happens, I remember certain little things like, oh yeah, I saw you come out of the line and you had a whatever in your hand, and all those little connections. That's what builds the relationships. And then over the years, we can have like a deeper engagement with each other. And so it's just really cool. I kind of knew that would be a thing, but I didn't know to the degree and to the depth until after I got home and reflected on it.
Right. There's this, perspective that we all take when we're only knowing each other through text, right? Like I only really know everybody through a couple messages. And a lot of our voice and a lot of everyone's personality only comes through in person.
Yeah.
So being able, a couple of people I met, the image I had of them in my head or their personality was completely changed after I just spoke with them for a little bit at the show.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, those little moments are really what kind of makes this all like, worthwhile and worth doing. That it's not just, me alone in my room trying to collect these cards, that there's this whole community. Right. Everyone's real, exist. And we get to, share that together at these kind of conferences.
It makes you feel like, there's a bunch of humans involved, right? Like I know that people are the ones behind, the texting, like whether it's in YouTube comments or Discord comments, like just having you here. I mean, I could see you, right? Like this is a whole different thing. Anytime I ever have a text back and forth with you or anybody else that I met in person in face at the con is already a different thing, because every time I see that text, I'm going back to some previous memory. And then the more we do these cons and the more we meet and the more we can hang out, it makes me want to sort of adjust a little bit of what I'm doing. So I think I'm going to do like a hybrid approach on the next one and do more, people engagement, hang out, because right. I'm getting so much value out of the relationships. But given it was my first con, I didn't know. I'm just like, hey, let's take the approach of record and then share it to the world, like anybody who didn't get to make it. But for those of us that are there, like we could really maximize on the relationship building.
I think that's a really good idea to, kind of get the community more involved. Just even me, right? Like I don't have my own game or, I don't have my own big channel or anything like that. And just being on with you or getting to talk with you for a little bit or getting to talk with Argos or whoever was there, makes me feel like, I can be a little bit more part of this. It's just nice to, these people that I only see behind, usernames or screen names, to get to talk to them and realize, hey, they're real people. They like this game or these just as much as I do. I was hanging out with Sean Stuff
That's
and
cool.
WG Scott. Finally got to meet them for the first time. We were just showing off like our collection binders to each other. Being able to talk to somebody that's ever heard of, Lost Wonderland or Psychedelica or Tattoo Showdown, like these other like super indie games, and being able to like flip through my binder and have someone know what I was showing them and vice versa, it made kind of the time fly by anyway.
Dude, it's nuts because you mention all that stuff, and it's like with the MetaZoo promos alone, you're right, like all the different things that you could get just from the MetaZoo line. I think it's possible that would pay for the trip. But then you got
Yeah.
all the other TCGs too, and they got promos, and they got, Akora had a comic with a promo,
Right.
and then there's other things that aren't TCGs, like Obnoxious 9 Games gave me one of their 1 of 25 playmats.
They're the pro MetaZoo players, Obnoxious 9, I think.
Yeah, so they're like
They're
meta.
a team.
Yeah, they're a team, but they're also like MetaZoo strategy gameplay. Like, so like even if you're not on the team, like they offer that kind of stuff. Like if you go to their website, so you can learn how to play better. Like what are different strategies, and then of course they sponsor. And they told me what they're going to do is they're going to offer a different playmat at every con and only do 25.
Nice.
Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. Like you start adding it up. I think I took home like, I don't know, like 30 things I didn't pay for.
Right.
And you start, I mean, your egg alone. Have you been watching the prices on that thing?
I have. I think I'm going to hold it. I've heard that what MetaZoo's doing with Collecticons is that, for every future Collecticon, the egg is going to slightly be hatching. Like the next one will be a little crack, and then the Cumberland Dragon will peek out. There's only going to be 500, I guess, of each, and there's going to be these big collectors that want all 6 eggs, and so we'll see where those go.
Question for you: 500 of the plushie or the card?
The plushie.
Okay, I didn't ever hear numbers. Do you know the print for the card?
I don't. I assume it's a lot.
Okay, I mean they were handing them out.
They were just giving them out.
Like, yeah, like candy. I would imagine it's more than 500 is my guess, but I don't know.
But half the battle with all these cards is just knowing what it is, how rare it is, if it's valuable, and going to these shows and getting all this stuff. It's just so fun.
Well, and everybody can't keep up. Like I know I can't keep up. I mean, there's stuff that I hear of from other people, and I'm like, you got to tell me what you're talking about, because,
right.
I think that on purpose they put things, sometimes under a rock, or like in the corner of a room, or like what I'm being, metaphors.
Yeah.
And if you're not there all the time, or you didn't, flip that little rock over, you didn't drill into that one thread or whatever, then you might, you might not know about it. But I think that makes it more special too.
So for Pokemon, like the best thing, collect them all, right? Got to catch them all. So that's kind of my mindset when it comes to all these things. Like, oh, I want everything. Meadows is really good about that. And even just staying vigilant, on Discord, right? Like, luckily I work from home, and I can kind of have Discord open throughout the day and check what's going on. If someone drops something or has a question here or there, you're able to kind of pounce on it. But, if you take a couple days off and don't watch, all of a sudden they could drop this promo or drop this or that, and then you missed it.
And I think it's okay too, right? Like we all don't have to have everything. I've already been making some decisions on, I'm not going to try to chase every single product every single time. I really want to stick to what I love. Like if that product speaks to me, and like this egg speaks to me, so this is, I missed out on the plush, but I did get the card. But there are certain things like, I'm not here to hate on any of it, because we all have a different perspective. But like, what, t-shirts don't do a whole lot for me. Like I just never, like backpacks never did anything for me. But I know people that love their t-shirt collections. They love their backpack collections. If we all sort of take a little bit of that mindset, we could stretch ourselves a little longer before we fatigue, because I know none of us really want that fatigue. And so, like just, it's cool. Like you don't have to get everything, and don't kick yourself and beat yourself up if you missed something. There's always going to be something else that you're going to love, and that's it. And then maybe for those couple little chase things that you miss, like maybe you do some trades or whatever, and then you engage back in the community again and make it a fun thing to chase.
For sure. And now especially, kind of in this trading card game market, or renaissance, whatever people are calling it, with, there are 20 different games right now that you can kind of put your money in or put your love into, or whatever, however you want to look into it. When I first kind of got into all these games, was the last July or so, kind of when first edition MetaZoo was coming out. There really weren't that many games. There was MetaZoo, of course, the big three, Flesh and Blood. Cora and D-Spirit started. But now there are a bunch, so you really have to, you can't have it all, right? It's too much.
You can't have it all, even if you're sticking to one game.
Right.
That would be very difficult.
Yeah, no, I mean, just to collect everything MetaZoo is impossible.
Creators of these games got to understand, no matter how much they're feeling the passion or the love for their game, everyone's got a different perspective. They're thinking, we're going to the moon. We're going to be successful. We're going to be the next MetaZoo. No matter how much you guys are thinking that, your fan base isn't you, right? Like, they didn't make your game. They're not with you 24/7. They don't see all the work you're putting in. They don't see all this. And so no matter how established and set up you make your game, like, and I'm not just talking at your booth, I mean your website, your Discord, all the things you do to create interfaces for people to engage. Well, no matter how much all that is like perfect, until you cross that border of, now I've got a booster box, now I can collect a full set, we're always wondering, is it just going to fail and crumble and we never hear anything in? Like, you just don't know. And I'm not saying every game's got a varying degree of that, right? Because there are some that are like really established. You could tell there's actually people running it that are professionals. They've had a 20-year career. And then you've got other people that are untested, which we don't hold against you. But if you're untested versus 20-year career, you got to start talking about what odds, what chances. I want to talk about what things we have as far as like recommendations for people maybe who haven't been to a con before.
For recommendations for new people to a con, I think getting the VIP is important.
So tell us, what does that come with? Because I had a vendor badge.
Okay.
And the only thing I knew about VIP was, so vendors are in at 8 because we were setting up tables and stuff. VIP is in at 9, and then general public is at 10.
Yeah.
But are there other things going on with that VIP?
I think you got a t-shirt. I think you got some sort of access to like Vanilla Ice or something. But I got it for the only reason of getting in early. It's really important if you want to get in line for like artist autographs. I personally didn't wait in the MetaZoo artist line, but yeah, I know a lot of people that got right in. That's immediately where they went. So that kind of saves you, a couple hours of time.
Sure.
And then getting in early and trying to snag early deals is kind of, important, right? Like, these vendors that put this stuff out, you're the first people to walk by. Usually they're hungry and ready to make a deal. You kind of snag something. I wanted to make sure I got there early, I got my promo, and then I can enjoy the rest of the day. MetaZoo or a Dreambook or Titan or whatever it is, Nostalgics. I wanted to be sure I got in, got my promo, and then I can, have fun meeting new people, playing a couple of test games or whatever it is.
What was the cost difference? And I know that cost could possibly be different based on con, but just to get a rough feel for like the general public one to the VIP.
Sure. I think it was $45 for non-VIP for the 2 days. And then for VIP, it was about $100.
So they're doubling it, but that counted for the whole con, not per day.
Yeah, no, it was the whole con. I got in at 9 a.m. both days. Like the first day, I got there, I think at around 8:15, and I waited, and the line was already pretty long for the VIP line. I waited about 45 minutes just to get in. But then the regular line was even worse. Right? I don't think the regular people kind of got in until 10:30, 10:45.
Wow. Oh, just because the line.
Right.
I didn't think of that.
And then, so MetaZoo, their first giveaway on Saturday was at 10 a.m. So if you weren't a VIP, you maybe weren't getting that first promo, and you definitely weren't getting more than one. Like, you definitely couldn't go back and hang an extra. Like, you were getting there and just making it.
I mean, you're touching on like 2 other recommendations just within this one, because the other one is, just because your general admission that opens at 10 doesn't mean you're getting in at 10, because the general admission line could be so long. And then the other thing you had mentioned, it just gave me this thought, was have a plan for those like top core things, like call it your top 3 or your top 5, whatever it is that you want to accomplish. So, and that I failed there, because like I knew about the egg, and I'm like, oh, I'll get one of those. And then I just never really thought about it again. Like, I didn't make a plan. I didn't try to figure out how to get one.
Okay.
So I didn't know until I got there that, the way MetaZoo is going to do it, which is cool. I think it worked out, is they have like a little plaque or like a poster, and it says, at this time, we're going to give out spoiler promos, and then you get in line for that. But at this time, you're going to get Collecticon promos. At this time, you're going to get the ability to buy the egg. And so what if I had a goal list, a plan, I would have said, okay, eggs top on my
Yeah.
list. First thing I'm doing when I get there is figuring out how do you get this egg. And I would have been asking people, I would have, and, they would have directed me to the poster. I would have seen the time. I would have put in, probably an alarm on my phone. And it just, I think that the having goals before you get there
Yeah.
is a big help to make sure you really get everything you want. And you touched on that.
Right. No, that's a really good idea. Having those goals, and now that you've gone, now that I've gone, having that experience right now, the next time we'll know. Hey,
Yes.
I knew like
Yes.
at the end, I knew for the promos. Let's say they started at 1, they got promos. I had to get in line at 15 minutes to 1, give or take a little bit. And if you get in a little late, then you're all the ways toward the back. You probably can't get in again. You might not get one at all if you don't really kind of get in on it.
That's another thing. The line goes from 0 to massively full in 5 minutes or less.
Right. Because essentially, and how I like to look at it too, the VIP. So I got in early. I got my promo. I was lucky enough to sell that promo that night on eBay, right? And that just paid for the difference between VIP and regular. Right there. Right, with that one extra promo. So if you're if you're smart about it and you plan, you can pay for your trip, pay for your VIP, or at least just have a little chunk kind of carved out of your total price, so then you can enjoy all of these promos without really having to pay a ton for it.
Well, even if you don't sell it,
right,
it still pays for that ticket because the value is still in the card. Absolutely. Whether you sell it or not. Yeah. I mean, because I kept mine because I only got one, just due to, I think I was only able to get in 3 MetaZoo lines. It was the spoiler pack, the Collecticon pack, and the free egg promo card handout, but not the ability to buy the plushie.
Okay.
So I got the promo card, and I went right to the DSG booth.
Oh, to get it graded?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I knew I brought a stack of cards from home, and I knew I was going to do a submission, and I think I ended up at 58 cards or so. Which, by the way, this is another thing about the cons. If you guys ever want to do graded stuff, and for me, I never graded anything before. I was worried about filling out the paperwork right, shipping things, just getting it in order. I mean, one way to avoid that is if you're going to a con, bring yourself a stack, walk up to the whatever booth you want to grade at, and they're going to walk you through everything. Right. It's going to be submitted correctly. So that's another thing to think about.
For sure. So you said you submitted 58 cards?
Yes.
So think of the shipping insurance that you didn't have to spend. Just
sure.
Right? So I sent in, I don't know, 5 or 6 cards to DSG months ago now. First edition MetaZoo stuff. And I was getting rocked on just shipping insurance. Just having to cover what happens if it gets lost or a hurricane or whatever nonsense.
Well, people think the card grading cost, let's say it's $30. It's not $30. Nope. Add in all this other stuff by the time you're done.
Yeah, I had to go to, I didn't want to ship it with the post office. I wanted to ship it with UPS. I wanted to get the insurance. I wanted to get, second day shipping, all that stuff. And then all of a sudden I look at my bill and it's just much to submit to PSA, whatever.
Right.
But going to the con and being able to hand it directly, you can cut out that middleman and not worry about damaging and shipping or what back or what if, there's a million things that can happen.
Well, and also too, going to a con like this, you can sample different graders. So you could go talk to a few if you're on the fence of who do I want to use, and then make your decision because you've got a couple days on a totally different topic. Something that was really impactful to me. I don't know if it affected you or not. You seemed fine when we were there. Dude, word of warning, the time goes so fast. And the hype is so crazy. I forgot to eat.
Oh, me too.
I forgot to drink.
Me too. Didn't have it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I felt at the end of each night, it was we went through a battle. And it shouldn't feel like that if you're nourishing your body. So another just, throwing it out there for anybody who hasn't been to one. If you've been to them, you get it. You either learned the hard way and fixed it, or you never had the problem because you manage yourself better than I do. But just word of warning, it is a no joke. Yeah. Figure it out. Gatorades, water, electrolytes, whatever you got to do.
I heard this from a bunch of people. The same thing you're telling me. Forgot to eat, didn't drink, didn't do that. I checked just for fun, I checked my phone to see how much we walked day one. It was 8 miles of walking.
No,
I had
wow.
one sip of water from the fountain, no food,
Dude.
nothing. I was, literally just consuming trading cards as my calories for a day.
I was gonna guess you were gonna say like 2 miles or 3 miles or
Eight
something. But
miles.
I mean, to your point, if we don't, we're kind of like nonstop. Like you go to booths and you might hang out for 5 minutes. At longest, you might hang out for like 10 or 15. It's a little weird. Like I couldn't imagine standing at a booth for like a half an hour. Like that
No,
just feels like there's not a whole lot to do there unless you're playing.
right.
So you're essentially walking the whole day.
Right. And, most of the time you're also walking. You're like, I think, you and I, right? Like we talked
Hmm.
and walked the whole line. And it's
Hmm.
not like I noticed that I'm walking 8 miles, right? It's not like I'm at the gym and I'm sitting there on the
Right.
treadmill, whatever. Like you just forget. And all of a sudden you look back in your day and you're like, wow, I ate nothing.
It creeps up on you.
Yeah.
And here's the weird part. It's a funny thing about dehydration. You can't really recoup. Like once you get to a certain point, it doesn't, it's not just like, hey, give me that gallon of water. I'll put that down and I'll recoup. It doesn't work that way. So
Need
when
time.
after, yeah, a lot of time, like today is Wednesday. So it's March 2nd. And I got home on Monday. I slept over Sunday night just to give me the night of not having to worry about like catching a plane. It's Wednesday. I'm just now starting to feel normal.
Yeah.
And I really drank like at the end of the first night, I got Gatorade, I got water, I did orange juice the next morning, things with sugar to keep the blood sugar up. And on Sunday, after the con, I'm in the airport, I'm waiting for a plane. I got nothing else to do but rehydrate. And I'm still not getting it, dude. Like I'm still like half there in my head
Right.
because you get to a certain point where it's like no return. You need 2 days, you need 3 days to fully get back to normal. So just, word of warning, everybody, just,
Right.
stay hydrated, stay
And
healthy.
not only are we walking all these miles and stuff, you're also engaging mentally with
Sure.
everybody. I watched some documentary on chess, or whatever it was, and they say that you burn, thousands of calories playing chess, just like you're working out when you're playing
Mm,
a game, even though you're sitting. And it's the same kind of thing when you're at these shows. Like you're wheeling and dealing, you're trying to find good deals on products, you're talking to people you don't know. So it's just so much, mental and physical stimulation at the end of the day.
yeah.
You're right. You gotta have your water, get yourself a snack.
Mm-hmm.
Even like I didn't even take a break, right? Like I didn't even just go walk
Yeah.
around for 5 minutes and clear my head. I was just nonstop. What's the next thing? What's the next thing I should be doing? What's the next thing I can get?
Selfishly, I'm glad to hear that you did that too, because it makes me feel a little less like I totally did it wrong.
I think we all did it. I've heard from a couple of people. I think Argos made a video about that. I think I
Hmm.
talked off the press. He did the same thing. We all just were too. We're all kids,
Hmm.
inside. Well, at the end of the day, we were just excited, I think, about the day and about the convention, that like our bodily functions didn't matter anymore.
Right. When I got back, my wife, because she knows I do this too. Like for certain situations, I stop worrying about myself and I just
Right.
go all in. She's like, I'm gonna give you one more chance, but if you do this to yourself on the next con, I'm just gonna come with you to monitor to like to make sure like okay, it's lunchtime, like
Right.
here's some food. Like she'll just go buy the food and hand it to me and I'll have no choice but to eat it. But I know now, so I think I'm going to take, there's a lot of learnings from this con I'm going to take with me. Not just the mingle more and record a little less, but also eat a little more, take a few more breaks, drink a little
Yep.
bit more. I might even change my camera setup. I have to think about it. Was very difficult to hold the, so holding the camera I got used to, like you can get it where your elbows in your side and all the leverage is there to just hold. What I had a problem with is I'm talking to the guests and I'm looking at them. I can't look at the frame on the camera to understand what angle I'm pointing and what
Okay.
frame I'm in. So for those of you who've seen a lot of my videos, you're looking like the side of my head the whole time, which I would rather that than the guest look all
Sure.
messed up. Like usually my guests were front, facing on. Generally it was centered, and so the guest usually had a decent frame. But that's
Yep.
another learning. So I do these reflections and I'm just thinking about, I might have a buddy come and like just
Cameraman.
hold the
It's
camera.
not bad. I think one of my main recommendations I would say for somebody also is to try to play test if you can. Like all these new games that they all were able to play. As I said, I played Zabba and Nostalgics. I unfortunately didn't get to play Dreambook or Titan. I did want to, but you know, I ended up not doing it. But if you have the time, take 30, 45 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
sit down and play the game that you're putting your money into.
Yeah.
See if you like it, right? See if you have fun. I had a blast playing Nostalgics. It made me so excited that I backed them and that I'm gonna be able to have these cards, you know, whenever they drop. Um, you
Yeah.
know, those moments is really what can make, you know, these conferences. You're not just going there to get promos.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're actually there for a game. You're there to play, you know, for at least a little bit.
It's a hobby community. So
Right.
like maybe dabble in the hobby a little bit,
Right.
right?
Play a little. Who knows? You might like it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went into the tournament room and I got some like B-roll kind of footage, like just going from front to back. But they were playing a tournament. So I was like, I wasn't really wanting to like talk in the camera or anything and bother anybody. But it was really cool to see people playing. And, you know, this is again going back to some of our recommendations of like have a plan for what you want to do. Dude, I got back home and I'm kicking myself because I'm like, why didn't I sit in the back of the tournament room, like where there weren't tournament tables being taken up, and just find somebody who wanted to show me how to play MetaZoo and record the damn thing.
Yeah.
like
No.
that would have been an awesome video. I didn't even think of it because again, it's like the hustle and bustle. It's hectic, and I had no plan.
Right. And really, you know, there's only so much time at this conference to like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I would have loved to have, you know, even entered the tournament, right? Like I probably would have got crushed, but it would have been fun to play. But I knew that that would
Sure.
take a lot of time and that I wouldn't be able to get the other things I wanted.
Dude, what about the comic? Dude, that
Oh,
people are sleeping on that comic. Have you seen the prices of the comic?
I know that, yeah, the first edition's crazy. I don't have.
Dude, they're all crazy. So I just saw a second edition, chapter 1, second edition. It was like $70. And I'm like, it's second edition.
Yeah.
Or second print, right? We call it the print. Dude, I think the comic's going to be hot. I don't know if they're sleeping on it. I just don't hear people talking about it.
Right.
You know? And
Yeah.
and it's just one of those things, guys. I would consider if you like MetaZoo, I would just consider you know, just build a collection of the comics, even if it's bare minimum, you know, one of each. And I understand if you missed first print on certain ones, they're like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Like the Cryptid Nation one. But they're not all that right when they come out. So it's never too late to get started.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been 1 year of MetaZoo, right? Like we just said it. It's only been
Right.
1 year, and like see the growth already. Like the plushie egg, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
$25 MSRP, you know, and now it's 200 online.
So I have a theory about the egg because there's the story that, you know, we're thinking it's like it's going to evolve. You've got a mini collectible within the game already because now it's going to have its own story.
Yep.
Like sets do. The first one is going to have to be worth the most. Like we're already back to this.
Yep.
The first thing, I wonder if people are sleeping on it. Like I'm looking, like you can get a card right now. Right now, the cheapest is like $39 on eBay. Dude, is that an amazing deal? Or is it like gouging?
The promo?
Just the promo.
Yeah.
Not the plushie. But it's the first, right? So like let's fast forward in 5 years.
True. Yeah.
And we've got, I don't know how many of these, like 20 of these, and you watch the egg opening in the promo. And you know, in the promo series is a story within itself. Everyone who collects that series wants the first one.
Right.
Not everyone who collects the series wants every one of those cards. Yeah, because maybe some people, they identify more with certain sets and they want that set, and then other ones they don't care. Some people want every single one, but I feel like the most popular one has to be the first.
Mm-hmm. And if they,
right, like why wouldn't it be?
Right, and if they continue the 500 print run or whatever, plush run, whatever you call it, that's nothing. 500 of one item for MetaZoo is nothing. You know, in comparison to like the big collectors out there, like, and especially in a year when, let's say, all of these eggs are released finally, hopefully the player base and the, you know, it's going to be much more expansive. People are going to want these eggs, and 500 is nothing, right? So I think the egg plushie is going to be the one that goes up. I'm personally mine, but you never know, right?
Well, and I'm drawing some parallels too with this story thing. Like, look at the Rudy promo.
Yeah.
That's a story in and of itself. Like, you're going to have all these Rudy promos, and he claims 69 of them. So just imagine, that's a lot of cards just for Rudy. There are diehards that are going to want that whole set.
And they'll pay for it.
You know, and so far I have each one so far.
Nice.
So it's only my decision to not continue to collect it or to collect it, because I'm already ready to go. Anyone who's getting in now, it's like they have a hurdle to jump because they got to go back and get the other ones. Picture you got 69 cards out. You hit number 69 and you stop making them. Then you've got to look back and say, okay, that set is going to be, even more sought after because they're not making anymore. And that's like a even more special thing. You've got 68 cards that are all likely to be lower value than the first card, but each of the other 68 probably have a substantial value. Like, he's proving that these are 3-figure cards and up. What's that first card going to be when the 69th card is printed?
Fair. Yeah.
So then why wouldn't this egg follow in suit? And that's my theory.
At Collectors Con in Tampa a couple months ago, Whatnot did a trade night. So it was after the first day of the show, and I think it was 7 o'clock or so at night in the hotel or in the conference center. They had a big room. You walked in, everyone had their binders out, and they were doing a bunch of trades. So that's kind of what I was, picturing. Maybe a little bit after the show, everyone go back and change and recoup a little bit, and then come meet and hang out all night and play or whatever. Especially, what I thought would be cool is if hopefully all these creators are on board and they can kind of on day one talk about it. Be like, hey, here's the game. Come by tonight at 8 o'clock at this room. We're going to be play testing. We're going to be trading. There's going to be a bunch of other games there. There's going to be pizza or whatever,
Well, and the human factor, right? Like, you get to meet the people. You get to break the ice. You get to kind of warm up and figure out who people are as a conclusion to the conference. Like, what are our biggest takeaways? For me, it's definitely the relationships that you can build with people. Surprisingly, like, you can engage and build a much deeper relationship than I actually thought. Even if you just talk with somebody for a half an hour, it's very impactful when you go back home and you spend the next however many years in the hobby, and that person, like, you always have that moment.
Yeah.
And then if you go to more cons and you build on those moments. So the people is my number one takeaway. And that's going to be what I focus on going forward.
I agree.
And the other takeaway is just everything. It was just so fun that I'm hooked on the conferences. And every year now, I'm going to try to make one or more of them just going forward. What are your biggest takeaways from having this experience?
Yeah. So, as the conference was kind of coming up, I was like, oh, do I really want to drive up there? Is this going to be worth it? But just kind of going with what you said, just being able to meet everyone just kind of brought my love, for collecting, and kind of, I was feeling maybe a little burnt out lately with all these games. There were so many things coming out and so many things to buy, and I was having to choose between this game, that Kickstarter, this pledge, that backing, whatever. And just being able to go to this, conference and meet you or meet all these people I've spoken to over these past, however many months, really kind of made it all worthwhile. Even some of these creators, like I never met Philip from Dreambook before in person. We just spoke on Instagram a couple times, but like just meeting him, he's a great guy. We're super nice. I can tell he loves his game. He's been doing this forever. He wants it. He wants to be here. And now I'm all the more excited to continue to support that game.
The word I was thinking of when you had said that you were getting a little burnt out before this is renewed.
Right.
This conference renewed my love for the hobby. The fatigue that I was having is not just a monetary fatigue. There's a mental fatigue. You're trying to keep up with all these discords. I mean, these are all like almost like individual communities, and it's work to be a participant in them. The con renewed my original enthusiasm. When I first learned about MetaZoo, it renewed it for the whole TCG industry.
Absolutely.
And if we do 1 or 2 of these a year, that's almost like saying, no matter how high or low we get, right, like in our burnt out state, we're going to have like a nice refreshing renewal.
It was so nice to see like the generosity in some of these creators and games. Like, I know I said this, like MetaZoo was just handing out money, right? Like they know the value of these promo packs and promos that they're handing out to people. They're not dumb. They know what they're going for today. I showed you the couple things that the creators gave to me at the show. In these past couple months, there's always something new to buy, and I would feel like, oh, I should support, or oh, I don't want to support, or anything like that. And sometimes you feel like you're getting a little squeezed as a collector, and there's always something that you should be buying. And just going to this and seeing the generosity and seeing the love that all of these collectors have for these games, it really just kind of brought it all back to life. and even brought it to life, right? Just seeing Discord and Instagram every day and, really being there was just tremendous.
Well, and I caught myself diving into Discord a little bit more in the last few days that I've been back home,
Yeah.
because I'm already thinking of those people that I did meet, and I'm checking out to see if they're out there, and makes me want to dive into that community again and say something else, an hour later, and then you just find like I'm interacting more again.
But going to the show, like you feel like you're in the heart of it. Like you're a part of it
Mm-hmm.
all. You're there. You're doing it. And you're part of the community. As you said, in 5, 10, 20 years, when we look back at MetaZoo or look back at these moments when we're collecting, like, wow, that was
Mm-hmm.
the best times when I went to that conference and when I met Ted and when I was on a podcast, talking about MetaZoo cards.
Dude, we're going to look back on this like years from now. It's going to be awesome. And then we'll have all those extra cons as reference. And this was totally awesome. We did it, man.
That was awesome. No, I had a blast talking to you. Thank you, Ted. Really.
I cannot thank you enough for the time. For those of you who don't know, because I'm likely editing this down, we were talking for about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I'll try to give you guys the best of what this was. But just know that Corey gave me over 2 hours of his time. Anybody who's interested to check him out, this is Big Apple Cards on Instagram. I'm Ted's Basement on Instagram. I'll see you guys in the next one.
All right.
Take it easy. Peace.